So welcome to Spiritz Studio Town Hall. I am Bishan Kumar.
And I'm Shalini Kumar, your co-host today.
So this is not a good time for industry, we all know. And some sectors have been affected worse. That includes microbrewery to a great extent. I think the restaurant and bars and food and drink industry were first to shut down, even before the lockdown was announced by the Prime Minister. Still, we see no hope of the bouncing back into the normal times. Reports suggest, I think we soon will have a panelist to speak on the subject, that if there is no government intervention or support extended to the microbreweries all across the country, 70–80% are facing a complete closure. And in such a scorching heat, people are looking forward to have fresh beer. And this was an in thing last year. You see that it was the peak time for all of you, but not now. So today we are going to discuss these issues which industry face, and let's see what this current situation is and what does future look like for all of you.
So let's welcome our esteemed panelist. Let's start with Vipul Hirani. Hi, and he is CEO and MD of Crafters Brewery, Mumbai, and also he's secretary of CBAI Maharashtra.
Yes.
Then we have Vikas Jain, who is JMD, PMB Maltings Private Limited. And then we have Ishan Brewer, who is a consultant brewer with the Kadak.
Kadak is Quaff. Quaff, I think.
Sorry, Kadak is like you are founder and consultant for Quaff.
He has his fingers in every pie, I believe.
And
every mug.
we have Srimoyee from Bangalore, and she is co-founder of Bier Library, Bangalore. And last but not the least, we have Pratekk with us, Pratekk Chturvedi. He is co-founder of Ministry of Beer, Delhi NCR region, which is really a very good microbrewery. We have been there quite a few times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's very interesting to have this power-packed panel with us, especially the pioneers like Pratekk, who was instrumental in introducing the microbrewery in the country. So Dulali in Pune with his co-founders. See, I will throw this question in the middle of you, gentlemen and lady, to understand when actually this lockdown happened. Even before that, the situation for microbreweries was not very good. I and Pratekk were discussing it, I think, a few months back, that X number of breweries are already closed down. Now, since March and now until a few months more, microbreweries are not going to start soon. Or maybe in Bangalore, where some growlers have been allowed. What is the ground situation? And how serious it has impacted your business? Anyone can pick up? Srimoyee?
So, being the pioneers of doing takeaway craft beers in the country, let's not expect that you're going to be getting great help for anything, because you've been given that permission to, take away in growlers and bottles. There is hardly any sale happening, honestly. So the initial excitement of people coming in, and these were beer bloggers, those are people who live nearby, walking distance. So the first excitement was there on day one, and then we started. There isn't really much of help from excise. If you're giving us a time at 9 a.m. in the morning, or when the majority of the country is working from home, and they shut their laptop by evening 6:30, you cannot expect a microbrewery to shut its business at 7 p.m. if it's a takeaway. Because I honestly, even if I had to order something, I wouldn't want to order my dinner pizza at 7 o'clock. I'd want to order it only after 8 o'clock. So people who are working from home, they shut their laptops at 7 o'clock, and that's when they come out to purchase. Not expecting someone to come at 8, you up at 8:30 in the morning to buy beers. It's not practical. It's really not practical. So it does not help us in any manner, honestly.
Okay. So Vipul, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, see, the microbrewery situation has been, I take the liberty of speaking for across the country. But you know, while the number of microbreweries have been going up across the country, uh, the end consumer, the market, at the rate at which the market was expected to grow is not growing up, is not growing. I think primarily that's because we don't have direct access to our end consumer, as in we can't reach their houses. So someone who wants to drink a craft beer from a microbrewery has to specifically go to a restaurant to drink that beer, and that is the biggest challenge, in my opinion, that the microbrewery industry faces across India. While growlers have been allowed in Bangalore, the situation right now, as Srimoyee said, is that after the initial, excitement, it's gone down, and that's to do with the kind of measures that have been imposed on the growler takeaway in Bangalore right now. However, I believe that once once this whole lockdown business is over, and if growlers become a permanent thing, I think we should see a better push, in terms of growing the market. That's my opinion.
Also,
one more question to you, Srimoyee. That or rather Vipul, as Srimoyee said that it was allowed in Bangalore to for takeaway options with growler. So is it a possibility of having it across the country wherever microbreweries are operating?
So I'll speak about Maharashtra because we operate the microbrewery out of there. We've been in discussions with respect to growlers since almost 2 years now. Almost 2017 is when the first topic was brought up with the excise department. However, at that point of time, there was, the excise department also took it lightly because business was going as usual, and microbrewery follow-up was also not that great. After COVID, I have seen a marked change in the attitude of the excise department towards growlers, because they also understand that unless this comes in, the entire microbrewery industry in Maharashtra is dead. Positive about it. However, we are the smallest stakeholders when it comes to the excise department, and they will attend to us after everyone has been taken care of.
Yeah, bigger pie of revenue.
Hopefully it will not be very late by then, but I'll say they've been very, very positive and very helpful in their attitude towards microbrewery industry since they started.
I have a small question for Srimoyee. Actually, I wanted my audience to understand what percentage of business have you got back through growlers takeaways?
didn't even tell you we reached 2%. It's very sad. It is indeed. It's nothing compared to what you get as in dine-in experience, obviously. The challenge is in the country right now is the awareness of something called craft beer, because there's a very small percentage of the country that understands the word craft. We're actually fighting with, I don't mean to, be, hinting at anybody. We're fighting with loads of brands out there bottling their beers. And there is only 0.1 or 2% that is still talking about something that is crafted, handcrafted. And there's a big difference. So in terms of, when you talk about the percentage of growing growlers, it's just a handful of people who know about craft beers. It's not even touching the crowd that drinks beer in the country. And these are people who drink beer in the country that come from another country, actually. Brands that are not Indian. We are like talking about be Indian, made in India, but we're not doing anything about it. We're not doing anything about that is made in India. We're making it in India. Everything's about India. So the percentage is really, I wouldn't even call it in double digits.
So Make in India is only a slogan.
It's the same thing. I don't think I'm wrong on that.
So, Prateek and Ishan, you represent Delhi NCR, right? So, what do you think excise department will do for this takeaway or something like that? Home delivery of beers from your outlets.
I mean, with your permission, let me take a step back and look at the background again. And I apologize in advance if I sound very pessimistic, but I speak with about 13 years of experience in this industry today. Unfortunately, when it comes to microbreweries or beer or the alcohol industry as a whole, unfortunately, we live in a country of hypocrites. We want to drink, we want to enjoy, but we also want to look at it as a sin. कि ये पाप है, ये मत करो. I don't know if I ever mentioned this earlier. Ishan will remember this. I mentioned this to him one time. The day I got Delhi's first microbrewery license, would you believe it? One of the officers from the excise department actually stopped me and saying, "क्यों license ले रहे हो? ये पाप है, तुम ब्राह्मण हो, ये सब मत करो." But we want to drink. When the lockdown opens, the first thing that has a queue outside is the alcohol factor, right? So the problem is that even though people want to enjoy us, they don't really want to support us, which means we are the last guys to get any kind of support. If you look at the restaurant industry, that is the F&B industry as a whole, we probably contribute 7% of the GDP. That's the number I've been hearing. But so far in the Honorable Finance Minister's speech, we have not even got a mention so far. The F&B and the tourism sector, we've not got even a mention so far. And the microbrewery industry is the flag end of that F&B industry, right? So we are going to be the last guys to get any support at all because they really don't want to talk about us. Even though we are the elephant in the room, even though we contribute hundreds of crores of taxes and GST and VAT and duty to the exchequer, but somehow they just don't want to talk about it. And the problem which has been plaguing the microbrewery industry since 2009, right from the beginning, has been a total lack of support from the government. The duties are high, the taxes are high, there's literally very low margin, and whatever little remains is taken care of by sometimes price wars, right? So in the days to come, this is going to be a very big problem. As Bishanji just called out very correctly, what we are hearing is 75 or 80% of microbreweries may not even reopen, you know. And I think many people might just be relieved that the thing is over. But there are going to be many guys who will just walk away from this all broken and hurt. Very pessimistic. I don't know. Maybe Ishan has something else to say. But this is my 13 years of really, really bad experience talking right now.
Ishan, do you concur with him?
I have to agree with him for this because excise is not going to help us a lot. But what I think, what we have also proposed from NREI Gurgaon chapter to excise department in Haryana, we are also suggesting them is, see, if they don't help us now, or if they don't help us when the government says open restaurants, microbreweries are not going to renew their licenses for sure. The number is as good as 90% because in Haryana, the license fee is very high. Excise duty is really high. So if government says open restaurant with 30-40% of social distancing norm, nobody is going to open a restaurant just to pay government fees. We do business for us, but just paying government 100% of fees and then expecting just 30-40% of revenue, that's not going to happen. So we have suggested the government to allow us to give growler as a permanent solution throughout the day so that microbreweries can survive. And we have also told them, if you do that, we are hopeful that 90% of breweries will renew their license, because as a category of microbrewery, if growler is the only option that we have. But this has to be a permanent solution, not like Bangalore till 30th June. If there's a
not to brew anymore, even if we are getting, you know, our stock is reducing, they are not allowing us to brew.
Okay.
Yes. So if they allow us to do it as a permanent feature, we have given them a set of guidelines. We have told them these are the things we can do as a government. This is the kind of revenue we can also generate for the government. And right now, what we know is government is also doesn't have any VAT collection, doesn't have any GST collection. There will be a time in a month when they will not be able to pay salaries to their own employees. So whatever help, we are not expecting any help from Nirmala Sitharaman or anybody from Finance Ministry. We are Atmanirbhar on our own, and we can do things. But let us at least operate.
We'll come back to these possible solutions later on. I think Vipul want to say something.
Yeah, so, you know, Ishan and Pratekk have worked in Maharashtra as well, and Ishan, just launched Kadak across Maharashtra 4 months back. I mean, authorities is one thing. Maharashtra is slightly unique in terms that it's one of the only states that allows kegging of beer and supply to other restaurants, apart from serving on your own premise. We don't get support from our restaurant partners as well when it comes to payments. I mean, our payments have been stuck from the month of almost January right now. So all the beer that was supplied from the month of January, we haven't been paid for it. And I'm sure most of the microbreweries in Maharashtra have not been paid for. And it largely comes back to the point Srimoyee was making, was that, there are hardly any consumers out there who actually understand the meaning of craft. And because they don't understand it, they start comparing it to other bottles. That attitude gets transferred to restaurants as well that we are serving at. And they, if their end consumer is ready to drink anything, they don't really care about the microbreweries and the craft beer. So, that's something that all microbreweries in Maharashtra have been battling for almost 6-7 years now. And as the number of microbreweries is increasing, the problem is just getting compounded because the market is not growing. It's just that we are trying to grab each and everyone's share instead of growing the market.
See, the problem of, that people do not understand craft beer is largely you guys also to blame, because consumers not being properly educated about craft beers. So the same thing is happening with the Indian wine sector. You remember, Vipul, and maybe Vikas will also remember this, that in 2008 and 9 and 10, most of the wine was stuck in tanks. It's not sold at all because there are no buyers in India. So you're not expanding the horizon of your craft thing or wine or craft beer because people are not being educated. So it's time that you should utilize the services of a Spiritz magazine and people like us more. So I'll go to Vikas now. He's on phone, I think. Yeah. So Shalini has a question for you.
Vikas, my questions to you is that you provide malts to different breweries and microbreweries. So I'm sure the cost now has gone up.
Mm-hmm.
It will be higher. So what kind of impact it would have on microbreweries again? Because here we are talking about the microbreweries.
Okay, let me, I think, first try and put a perspective here. And I think going back again to a couple of things which have been spoken about consumer education, what is craft beer, what are people fighting around with. So I think that's a dialogue we always have in between our own group as well. The first thing is malt definitely has an important role to play in the overall beer quality, right? And when we talk about the microbrewery segment as our share, we are still being local here, not a large part of our share is there in the microbrewery segment. Still, the mindset is that they want to use imported malts. So imported malts which are coming in from Wireman, Castle, or whoever are there, everybody on the market, all the 200 brewers are using those malts, all of them in one way or the other. Out of those 200, maybe let us say 60 or 70 are using our malts as well. But again, let's put it here. None of the 200 are really also, given only a couple of handful, standing apart in their quality, what they're offering to a consumer in the specific markets. So if today I was to, let's say, pocket up the microbrewery market here, Bangalore definitely was known for quality of beer, which was there, which was being done. Gurugram was at the bottom end of the pyramid because here it was just probably mashed malt and barley water, which was being done and sold out. Bombay had the branding exercise in place, but then they were again coming in from little large size breweries and offsite brewing coming into the supply chain. So they had their own challenges there. Delhi has to still see the sunrise. Where will it really go? Apart from Pratekk, whatever we could have started a little bit. So my only take here is that the malt and everything is available. Pricing is much more competitive. compared to what you are buying from the imported guys, because we are getting the same barley in here, making the same type of malts. Definitely some range we may not be able to offer. But then guys out there on the field are still making bad beer from even having the best of the malts. So it is also, I would say, the skill set which is at the down level. Because what have we seen? We have seen large shift supervisors in breweries who are working in large breweries trying to come themselves and call themselves head brewers. I'm sorry, you know, that's not where you will develop a culture or a quality where a consumer will be willing to accept it on a consistent basis. So if you have shift supervisors who are earning 20,000, 25,000 rupees as a shift operator in a brew house, in a large brewery, comes out into a microbrewery and becomes and starts calling himself a head brewer, you're not going to have that. Sustainability in that business is not going to exist. So what we really see, again, you can see that demarcation very clearly. Ishan has been there. He has seen the entire industry move through in these years. Wherever he has been involved directly, that breweries have been able to maintain their quality. Wherever he left as an advisor or consultant, and it was left to the other people to decide what to do, it has gone bad. Not one. You can have many examples which are sitting there on that market today, right? Where the professionalism got lost out and it was only just becoming a margin game for the people. So I think now what I foresee the craft business here today, I feel the moment things open up, there has been a filtering out which is going to happen. All those people who were there trying to just survive themselves, trying to work on margin are going to go out. So the real true quality brewers will remain. That is going to be in the first place. So going forward, the malts which are going to be used, the quality is going to become the only surviving factor for any of the microbrewery. What they're able to deliver on a consistent basis. Nothing against my competitors who are there on the market importing all these malts. I have seen they come into India which are probably not used in Europe. Those are the malts that are coming to India. Let's face it.
Great insight.
Hard reality as well. I have seen shipments coming in September, in January, in December, which are from last about 8 months old already. So if you're having 8 month old stock coming in and selling today, so what are you going to make out of it? Nothing is fresh.
So I think, because very interesting point you have raised, I think a lot of answers have to come from these boys who make, and the lady who make beers now. See, you people are already in distress. You are already under tremendous financial pressure. So as Vikas has pointed out, the only people who make quality beers will survive. Rest will have to actually perish. How would you manage that, Pratekk? That you always insisted on having the quality ingredients and providing the finest quality of beer to your consumers. In a strange situation, in the light of what Vikas has raised the points, how you intend to survive? And do you think the consumer will come back to your brewery when you raise the price or reduce the quality of the brew you serve?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, let me be honest enough and accept exactly what Vikas is saying is actually true. In fact, it is something which has come up a few times already. A majority of the promoters who are in this business have come in because they think it's an easy buck to make. You make beer at 30 rupees, you sell it for 300 rupees. That's the kind of things which happen out there. That is what is promoted. And everybody wants to become a beer baron, right? Everybody wants to be the next Vijay Mallya. He may have run away, but everybody wants to become that. That's the glamorous bit. Unfortunately, most people, sorry?
You will still run away now.
Right. Unfortunately, so that is correct. Most people who have come in are not here for the passion of the product. People like Srimoyee, Ishan, Vipul, others in Bangalore, maybe a few in Gurugram. There are very, very, very few people who care about the product, who know their product for that matter. In fact, Many promoters I know talk about the flavors of the beer instead of talking about styles or types. And the point is, everything is a trickle down effect. It has to start at the top. So if the promoters are not interested or are not passionate about the product, if all they are interested in is saving 5 rupees a kilo of malt, instead of thinking that 1 kg of malt gives you a yield of around 5 liters of beer or something like that, that's when the fundamentals are hurt and the product starts deteriorating. Now, one way to look at what is about to happen in a positive way is that consolidation is about to happen. There are people who were into a price war. There are people who were not really making any money, but were just hanging in there for the heck of it, that someday they might. All that trash is going to be washed out. And people who have been making good quality beer and also commanding a good price, and I'm sure everybody here would agree that if your product is good, you can command a premium. A small example, and not to sound again full of ourselves, we are in Sector 29 in Gurugram, which has 21 microbreweries. We have people in Sector 29 doing 59 rupees beers, 29 rupees beer, and 1 rupee beer.
Wow.
1 rupee beer, right? It's unfortunate. There is no way you can make money. And all these guys are going to be shut down. On the other hand, there was MOB in the center of all this, and we never brought our prices below 285 plus, and we still did okay, right? So the point is, if you maintain quality, then the consumer is not blind. They are willing to pay a premium. And the guys who have been doing good quality and hence making all right margins will survive. The guys who are trying to play a price war are not going to survive. So one good thing which probably will come out of this is going to be a consolidation. In fact, let me add one more thing here. Many guys in Sector 29, and I'm talking very Gurugram NCR right now, many people were actually stuck in this field. They really wanted to get out, but there was no face-saving way to do it. मतलब बेइज्जती हो रही थी, नाक कट रही थी कि यार बंद कैसे करें. For them, Corona has become a godsend. They've got finally a good excuse to get the hell out of an industry which they were not able to make sense of anyway. This is what my view is. I think the guys who survive will survive on quality and on good pricing. If the price war happens, or the guys who get into price war are not going to survive. And yeah, many people were waiting for the right time of getting the right excuse. They are going to get out quickly.
And at the same
I'll
point,
just add up one thing here.
Also, remember
Today,
that.
I personally feel today, those people who are passionate about the business, it's a great time for them to consolidate and to go in for a nationwide branding exercise. So if I am Ministry of Beer, I am traveling, I should be able to have a Ministry of Beer in Delhi as much as I can have it in Gurugram or in Bombay or in Bangalore. So that pan-India branding would really come in now, that there is a pan-India chain today which will exist of craft brewing, which should be there. I think it's an opportune time for somebody to look at it that way.
See, I wanted to add on this. Every time there is a webinar, Gurugram being dragged into it and put in the bottom of the list, everybody does that. I don't know why they do it. It was not like this. It was never like this before. It just happened 2-3 years back, and I blame real estate business for this. The moment real estate business gone down, every property dealer, every real estate guy wanted to open a brewery. So that is where everything got diluted. Till before that, I remember Rockmans used to sell beer at 1,200 rupees a liter.
Yeah.
We still at Quaff sell beer at 650 to 700 rupees a liter till today.
Yep.
And we still do great numbers.
Good.
Shan, these are the same people who got into real estate because that looked lucrative at that point of time.
True.
Because their own businesses are going down, so they got into real estate. They made some money there. Now they found this interesting, so they got into that. So yeah, adding to Vikas sir's point, I think if you're not passionate about this, if this industry, there are many other businesses where you can earn money. You know, this business is not worth it if you don't have the passion for it. It's just too much headache, and not worth the headache if you're not passionate about it. That's all I have to add on this point.
And that's because of those set of people, the passionate people are doing, are struggling more to make the craft brewery being visible to the population that we have, actually.
So what's the situation, Srimoyee, in pretty bad, and scene in Gurugram is pretty bad, and Delhi is not opening up. Is the only gentleman keeping the flag flying is Pratekk Chturvedi with Ministry of Beer in Delhi. Others have not opened up. I don't know when the others will come open up or not now in the change situation. So how many of microbreweries which are currently operating in Bangalore will actually survive this onslaught of pandemic?
As per what we've heard, I think there is going to be a lot of people withdrawing from paying the excise duty this coming June. And we've already started getting our notices last week onwards. And currently, right now, my other partner is working with the brewery association to get to the excise department by saying, asking a fees which is exorbitant at this time after 3 months of shut is unasked for. We are aware that some of our known breweries are probably going to take a big hit and not renew and not brew for a year, just probably use their liquor license, just run it like a regular pub. There are some places who are not even planning to continue with their liquor license. There are also those who are planning to cut down on production, cut down on their tanks. Obviously, a variety of 7 beers or 6 beers on tap might have to come down to 4 beers and 3 beers on tap. You're not helping anybody by doing that. You are not going to be, excise is not going to get that kind of money from the amount of money they used to get from our industry because they have made it difficult. So I'm not going to be having very high hopes, but we really wish that please staggered payment of the fees for the following year would be a big help to us. Instead of asking for a chunk amount in the month of June, you cannot expect me to open in the first week of June with 30% and expect 3 months of money which we haven't made into our corpus to be putting into your hands. It's impossible. It is impossible. Nobody works like that. We're not a luxury brand. This is what you were saying, that, this hypocrisy. We are not a luxury brand. We're struggling. We're actually struggling. So, it's going to be a staggered payment, and considering the fact that we've also paid excise duty the last year, please carry forward that amount.
Yeah.
Don't be accountable for the money that I've paid.
That will raise to Vipul. Vipul will answer from that.
Yeah, because he wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to suggest again. I think Vipul, this is something which you can take up, and part of the Craft Brewers Association as well. And we can all have a chat around, and wherever you need our help, because I am also on the Food Council for ASSOCHAM, and we can use that office as well. How do you think, as an idea, in a place like Bangalore, I'm coming specifically because I think there were 2-3 criteria where Bangalore is distinctively different. Is one, the minimum floor space required for any microbrewery in Bangalore. I think that's the only criteria. 12,500 square feet existing in the country is only Karnataka, right?
Yes, 10,000.
That's one. So that means whoever have come in and invested have invested a lot of money.
Right.
They were not fly-by-night operators. They were all serious people who wanted to get into that business. That's my point one, which I've seen of Bangalore. And that's why the quality of Bangalore always remained at the top end. Second, how about trying to suggest to excise that because now everybody is going to run, you take license fee, fair enough. Can you get into an idea of collective brewing at, let's say, instead of running all the 15 microbreweries or 20 microbreweries, we run only 10, where the microbrewers collaborate together to make their own brews at one central state, and then take that beer out from kegs to the other brewery, to their own outlets to sell. So probably that can get a lot of optimizations of cost. They can only keep brewing licenses for certain people who can collectively try. See, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to save is we're trying to save a tradition, a cult. Everybody's competing on their own for sure in the market. But then if you can collectively come together today who are like-minded people, get into collective brewing at one place, take off your own beers and recipes, what you've done, onto your microbrewery and just dispense there.
So that's being discussed on some levels in Maharashtra at least. It's not being discussed as an association. It's just a conversation that has been floated around between a few brands as to if this can be done. For the next 1 year, we will not renew our licenses. All our equipment and everything will be in place. However, the brewing will be only at specific locations and it will be taken out in kegs for the next 1 year. And once everything is smooth and it looks like the consumer today who may not come back because of the social distancing norms, once they come back, everyone can go back to their own individual production.
Licensed brewing. A lot of the large brewers do that. One single brewery is manufacturing for everybody.
Correct. So that's the idea has been floated around in Maharashtra, and specifically Maharashtra, it becomes easy because we already have that law in place. The kegging law is already in place. So that's already been discussed, but not as an association. And as time goes by, I think you'll see this co-production facility happening very soon.
I think that's slightly not possible in any other state apart from Maharashtra, because I have my own problems, I have my own bills to pay. And if I'm just producing one beer or two beer at one of the breweries, I still have people asking me that kind of. And so this is probably from a perspective of bringing a unity or a campaign, it's a good idea, but it doesn't work for a business guy or for somebody who wants to survive. For example, Beer Library has almost 350, 400 staff working for them. I mean, if I'm just making one beer and selling it, we will not be able to even cover our basic expenses, plus the mortgages, plus the rentals, and so many other things that we have as overhead. So I think we need a concrete solution, a better, long-lasting solution for everybody, rather than these short, small campaigns.
Ishan, I think that a lot of businesses have to be reimagined now in the new change situation. We cannot stick to the old traditional conventional way the businesses were done. True. We are getting into unknown. We know the answers of many things. Like Pratekk was suggested few months back, like why not we can have a small tap rooms where the beer could be made at the mother brewery and supplied to small tap rooms, like Vikas has suggested. I think it's a fantastic idea. So why to invest so much money in the real estate and have 300 employees at your disposal? You want to serve a good beer, make it somewhere else, bring it to your outlet, sell it to people, pass on the benefit to consumers.
As I think in Bangalore,
what's wrong in that?
Bira people are doing the same thing. They have their brewery in Mysore. They produce it there and then bring it back to their, what is it called, Bira tap room. So this,
guys also the same thing.
Yeah, so there's a technical problem in this whole thing, and we are ready to adapt. Government has to change for this, not us. We are okay. Who wants to invest in a restaurant? I'm not an F&B guy. I really have no passion in selling dal makhani and butter chicken and chicken tikka. I'm more of a beer guy. So government has to change. Government has to do those modification in law. Let us work independently. We don't want to invest in a restaurant. We want to serve great beers. We can do it from one brewery. Maybe in Manesar, we can brew all together and send it to all the things. But government doesn't work like that. They want revenue from each single brewery. They're as greedy as possible. They want duty from each single brewery. They don't care about your craft or anything else. The only thing matters.
Ishan, government is not any inane thing. Government is made of some human beings. Human beings, Babu sitting in different ministries, are the people who are selling potato chips and later Coca-Cola in our departments. They come back to sell microbrewery or liquor. So they don't understand these things. You have to change the mindset. For that, your apex bodies like Vipul and other chapters of these things will have to come in force. You have to educate these people. The mindset has to change. If you have a willingness and you have the potential power to change the mindset, it will change. Yeah, Vikas wants to say something.
I just want to ask a question here. In your microbrewery operation, how, as a cost center between the different operations, what is the part of the brewing side, on the mashing, lautering, removing all that, and the recovery side, how much is that as a part of cost? Leave aside the fermentation part and the boiling side.
I think brewery cost is not much. If we see the kind of, depending on how much we are selling our beers, I have seen brewery cost anywhere between 10 to 15%. That's not a very big number.
What I mean to say is, in terms of manpower and this thing, I'm coming is because we also do malt extracts. So do you think malt extract coming to your recipe, as per your recipe, what you want to do, that malt extract comes to you and you want to get into just the boiling and the fermentation side and brew with malt extract rather than trying to bring in all the different malt grains and everything and putting up that inventory and doing that. Making it more convenient and worker friendly. I do not know. Do you think that is going to be an option?
I don't know. I'm not that kind of guy. I prefer dirtying my hands and making beer. So, no, I'm not. Personally, don't just. I mean, that's the beauty about it. Craft. I mean, pick up those grains, make them, mix them, and choose what you want. I mean, if I just have to mix water, I might as well make real juice. I mean, why do I have to make them?
Let's take a difference. If you look at the last, like I said, 10, 11 years of experience, typically the government guys are not really open-minded. It could be by virtue of super specialization. For example, the income tax guy does.
Or Pratekk, they might be afraid of trying new things.
Right, but now there is hope that maybe thanks to this, well, maybe because of the crisis, maybe because of what is happening right now, they might just be open to ideas. If you look at history and extrapolate history, no. So far, they have not been open to ideas. But maybe during this crisis, they might be willing to talk. Let's see how that goes.
That's what I would feel.
Very simple. We are telling government, if you give us the permission to do growlers, we will give you 50 lakhs as a renewal, 50 crores as a renewal fees. So we are talking in these terms. Okay, allow us this, we will give you 50 crores.
They will understand this language. They will understand this language.
Yes, that's how we are talking to them.
Yeah, just to add, I mean, not Prateek, not to discount your experience over the last 11 years, but I've been interacting with the government for the last 4 years now. But the kind of discussion that I've had with them for the last 3 weeks have been very different from what I was speaking to them 4 years back. This adaptability that you're talking about is now coming in because while we might be a small part, we are contributing some money to their kitty. We are not as big as in Maharashtra. We're not as big as a Karnataka or a Gurugram in terms of the revenue collected by the excise, but they're still happy to listen to us, and they are doing everything in their power to push this. One small example: 3.5 weeks back, everyone was talking about delivery of alcohol. No government officer was even ready to entertain that thought. Why? Because they were afraid that there might be backlash from the courts, there might be backlash from the political parties, there will be backlash from public in general. The minute Supreme Court said government should consider delivery of alcohol is when everyone started, now the Supreme Court is saying this, let me look into this. Now this is something that I can look into. This is something I'll allow. That's how things have moved, at least in Maharashtra. 3 weeks back, the kind of discussions that we were having with the government and the excise officials are very different from what we are having with them now. And this is going to be the trend this year. Adaptability is going to come for the government as well. We can sit here and argue that this has not happened in the past, so it will not happen now as well. But the fact of the matter is that everyone is in an unknown situation. We don't know where we are heading. Today, we are seeing our businesses might be down 50%. They might be down 70% or they might be down 20%. We don't know it. The government is ready to speak to you and discuss with you as long as every party is being reasonable. That's what my experience has been over the last 3 weeks.
As far as the state governments are having very proactive excise officials, like in Maharashtra, Valsa Nair, she is a very proactive lady. In Uttar Pradesh, like Sanjay Bhusareddy and Guru Prasad, they are very proactive. We have been interacting with them personally. So they are.
Since you just mentioned the name Shalini ma'am, Valsa Nair, she is probably the most helpful government officer.
I know.
I have never had an IAS officer make me sit down in their office and listen to everything and this is pre-COVID. I'm not talking about
pre-COVID. Yeah. They are very proactive. This time has given them opportunity to talk openly.
Correct.
I agree with you that this crisis might just give us the opportunity that people are willing to talk to us.
Correct.
I'll just share you a view coming in from what has been happening with the larger industry guys. let me tell you, there's a lot of lobbying now going around, a lot of discussions happening, because every state realizes come 2022, when the GST compensation rule goes away, the only way a state can survive or carry out its own schemes of welfare of the public at large will be through revenue from either fuel or liquor.
Alcohol.
Nothing else. Nothing else the state is going to get from the center until it is the center and the state government being the same. And what we are seeing is states are going to be regional parties going forward. They will never come back to a single central majority party, may not exist. Because end of the day, today, all citizens in every state are also realizing that polarity where, let's face it, be honest about it. The world is getting, the country is getting divided in one way or the other. Where a person who is in Bihar today, he says, I'm safer in Bihar than I am in Haryana or I'm in Punjab. Today, the Maharashtra government or every state government is saying, I'm going to bring my migrant labor, I'm going to give my migrant labor job here in my state. So that way, the regional parties will continue to dominate. And when they are there, they are not going to get any support from the center, because the center, if it is any different party, it won't work. We have seen that up to number of times this time, with West Bengal also being the case, the same way. You have a typhoon striking, you give 1,000 crores. Come on. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, the topic is not the political.
Today, the state finance commissioners, the states who are in power, are going to listen to the liquor industry in a much more open way. The hypocrisy is going to go out over the next 2 years, because they have seen that with online delivery and everything happening now, right? So my personal gut feel is, give or take 6 months now. After that, the market is going to boom.
Right. Vipul, you wanted to say something.
I was just saying from the point of view of, discussion with the excise, when we took our proposal to the excise department with respect to the growlers, one thing that they were, very happy about is that nowhere in our proposal have we asked for a tax rebate, reduction in taxes, reduction in license fees, nowhere. They were very happy to hear that we are, even in these difficult times, that is not what we are asking. We are just asking them a direct access to our end consumer. And we showed them all of our calculations, and they are also in favor of doing something like this. Now it is up to the political class to keep aside this hypocrisy, as Pratekk mentioned, separate and help us out in these troubled times.
And the best part is, every other industry is asking for any stimulus or relief packages or money packages from the government. This is the only industry which is saying, give us some subsidies or some relief kind of a thing. They are not asking for money.
Correct.
They are ready to pay them money, just asking some relief.
So, gentleman and lady, do you believe that, as Vikas has said, I think it sounded like Ramraj will come in 6 months' time in alcohol sector. Do you believe that the big boys who control 80% or 90% of the bottled beer in the country will allow you small players to have free run the way you want to have? Because they can influence the policies like anything. They have been doing it for ages. So craft brewers are very, very small numbers. They have very limited influence.
I remember attending one of the seminars of Spiritz Conclave, and I was part of the panel discussion with who's who of the bigger industries.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody telling me, you don't even bite our shoes right now. So
I was just going to say that if any of the big alcohol companies are actually worried about what we are doing, I think they need to relook at their management, because we are insignificant as to what the kind of revenues and volumes that they have. So if they're worried about us, I think they need a fresher approach in their management. That's all.
They're definitely worried. They definitely think about it. Otherwise, they would have not launched a Vire Macha in name of craft washing. They would have not launched that beer. They would have launched wheat beer.
But this is like, Bangalore not having any more startups then. Because then a big company, Bangalore also happens to be one of the largest startup places in the country. So I think it's something we don't even need to worry about. There is a market for everybody here.
Everybody.
All we need to do is make them aware. Our job is to make people aware that this exists. That's all. The startups can't say that I'm not going to start a company because there's somebody, a bigger company with a bigger brand doing the same. He's not going to give up.
I have a problem. So if you are a craft beer brand in a bottle today, you were priced already at 190, 200. With taxation coming at 70%, you're literally wiped out of market. You don't exist anymore. So these are the things which it can never happen to Kingfisher. It can never happen to Budweiser. They can always derail these kind of policy thoughts and bring down the cost down, and they will always win. We can't survive.
I'll just share. I have a viewpoint here which is different, friends. The large guys are big hit with this increase in excise duty on beer. This whole thing is a big problem to them, and I think that is where I find opportunity in the craft beer segment. I'm not going to go buy a 230 rupee bottle of Kingfisher in Delhi if I'm getting a craft beer mug or an option of getting a product which is something different at a lower price or even at the similar price. I would say there's a big opportunity there today for the craft industry. But what I'm finding is what is lacking, honestly, is the branding exercise behind the beer is not there. You are branding your brand of the restaurant. The branding of the beer is not happening.
Right, absolutely right.
So what I need is that today people need to look at, hey, I'm branding my beer. So if I have a Brewdog fine is one part, but then there is a particular IP of Brewdog which I want, which is a brand in its own way. So I think that is where today even the microbreweries will have to come in to say, am I creating a brand of my beer rather than a brand of my restaurant chain?
People
This is where I think we'll have to.
Yeah, I totally agree with Vikas's point. I mean, you know, we face this because we are not a pub brewery, we are a tap house. It took us a good 1 year's time to educate our customer that the beer that you see here is actually being manufactured by us. So, you know, they associated coming to crafters as, you know, as a restaurant. But it took that 1 year of consistently hammering into our consumer that, you know, while we love you for coming to our restaurant, what we actually want you to appreciate is that you're coming here for a beer and you're liking a beer which is being manufactured by us. Just to counter Ishan's point, I'm very happy that a Virya and Matcha has been launched in India, because it means that there is one more entity that is trying to promote craft, and my end consumer will now start to know what difference between a craft is and what we call craft is. So I'm happy. Let them enter, let them do whatever they want. That's not a problem for me. I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I'm not trying to, you know, blow my own trumpet, but that's the way I feel. It's better if 100 people promote it as long as the product is of that quality.
Okay, now we just want to end this discussion, but we have two more questions. One is like, you people are now in a dilemma. Government has already ordered to open up manufacturing units, right? So for the other companies who produces bulk amounts of alcohol, they are okay with it because their products are going to be sold on retail outlets, off premise, right? But your product is on premise product. So what kind of a production do you have in your mind once these outlets, on-premise outlets opens up? So what kind of production number you are thinking of?
And when do you think that the consumer will start coming back to your microbreweries?
Yes, the viability option, like 33% of consumer, and then you have to pay your revenue to the government.
I'll give you I'll be able to answer better because I manage a lot of breweries across India. Now I'll tell you simple stats. Gurugram, we have literally drained all our beers in every brewery. We don't have any beers apart from, I don't know, Pratekk has some, but all our breweries we don't have, and we have drained almost 1 lakh liter. So if government allows us to do it, we are only going to make partial 30. We are going to see what kind of guidelines MHA is going to give us. Depending on that, it will take us 15 days to get back to operations. It will not happen immediately. So it will take us at least 15-20 days to get the beers on tap.
Prateek?
Prateek, what's your opinion?
It's a bit of a wait and watch, to be honest, because the MHA guidelines that we have been reading are talking about starting off at 25% occupancy, then going up to 50% occupancy, and that 50% occupancy is for the next 6 months. And the other side of the story is whether the guests, the consumers are willing to step out and come to crowded areas. So we don't really know what to expect. Yes, a mob is yet to drain its beers, but even today we are also considering whether we should hang on to it for a few more days or should we actually let it go, to be very, very honest about it. So we are looking at a dilemma. We expect to start at maybe 25% occupancy. To give us some perspective, Delhi has opened up its markets. We are in Connaught Place ourselves. Connaught Place, 50% shops are open, but there is no shoppers anywhere, right? So I think the new normal will take, like Vikas said, probably 6 months to normalize. In the initial few months, I think F&B eating out might be lower in the priority list for the consumers. We are, well, let's be honest, a bit of a luxurious spending. People would rather sit at home and spend lesser. I think it will take some time for the confidence to come back to the guests that they can start stepping out again, both from a safety point of view as well as a profit point of view. So tough times. I think the next 6 months are going to be critical. But yes, if we survive the next 6 months, then as Vikas said, a boom is coming. I agree with him.
Based on that, you will start your production, seeing the whole scenario.
Yes, in fact, we have decided that even when the government allows us for the first 15 days or so, we don't plan to reopen at all. We will wait and watch.
Okay.
There's no point. I'm to give you an economic answer to this. We are looking at rental being suspended under force majeure. Till the day I open my doors, that rent is suspended at least. And we don't know if the landlord will agree to give us a final waiver. So at least till the time I can get zero rent, I will sit down and watch. There's no point taking 15 lakhs on your head per month unnecessarily, right?
Correct.
Keep your doors shut, wait for it.
Okay.
Then we see.
Okay. And what about Srimoyee? What about you?
I don't know. It's a gamble. We don't know if the crowd is going to come. We do see a crowd initial again. Maybe with the dine-in experience, there will be a initial excitement, people wanting to come out. Thankfully, our place is an open to sky place. It's not a rooftop. It's not a house. It's not a tiny little entrance. There is no elevator. Touch points are very tiny. So it's like a land, and we've got ample space. We are assuming that we will see a boom, and there might be a little lull as usual. You know, it's all a gamble, honestly.
Okay, so it's like everybody will have to watch for 10-15 days, and then they will start production, right? And anything from you, Vipul?
No, I think it'll be along the same lines as what everyone has just said. The location that we are at has a huge captive family audience that we can cater to. Having said that, 70 to 80% of the crowd that comes to crafters is the corporate crowd around. And as such, unless those offices are open, I don't think it makes any sense for us to open our doors.
Okay. So the last question is, please tell us your demands from the governments, state governments, pointer-wise. Okay, these are the things which we want government to help us to survive in this industry.
To qualify that question, especially in Gurgaon's context, that people are paying for 45 lakh rupees of license fee, 15 plus 30 lakhs. So it's a huge, for 3-4 months, you have not done any business.
Yeah.
Similar with situation other people.
As Prateek said, the house rent.
And the rentals. And the salary. So a lot of your overheads have come. So what do you expect from government to do something to bail you out from this crisis?
Whoever is the best person to answer for these demands.
Haryana perspective, we need two things. One is deferred payment structure for license renewals, and second, takeaway for beer. I personally feel these are the two things which will help us survive a little bit for these 6-7 months. That's nothing much that I don't think so. Waiver or something we should be asking. But if they give us a deferred monthly payment option of a renewal of license fees and allow us takeaway, we are okay to start our industry.
Okay.
I would just again add up this. I even shared in the last meeting that we were having. you all probably craft brewing industry needs to get together, and under CBAI Vipul, you can take it up. Which is the state offering the most, or let's say, pick the best of each and make out your ideal policy for microbreweries and craft breweries.
Right.
So once if you're able to, I think, put that across today and then take it across board to every state, the same policy, to get that uniformity, I think that will be a big help to everybody to say that once it is uniform, then you will have more investment coming into each of them. And then you can also be sure about how the business is going to grow and how you're going to invest. Because if every year people keep changing the policy up and down with taxation, one idea could be to tell them, hey, listen, if you decide a policy now, put it in place for next 3 years. Let it be same, at least on the tax structure side, on the operational side. So when we are investing, we know what we are into.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So if that is something also they can do, I think that will be a big achievement for the microbrewery segment, that please, if you fix our rates, fix them for 3 years.
Okay, thanks.
So if we don't get into a, that variability which the large companies can take, we can't.
Vipul, what?
No, for us in Maharashtra, the biggest request that we have both of the bureaucracy and of the government is be adaptable as much as you can in this scenario. Let's try and cut the red tape as much as we can in these troubled times. Once things go back to normal, everyone can go back to normal. We hope they won't, but let's just let's hope for that and allow direct access to our end consumer. I mean, Srimoyee's experience from Bangalore might say otherwise, but I strongly believe, and the entire Craft Beer Association of Maharashtra strongly believes, that growlers is the way forward, not just to tide over the COVID crisis, but in terms of generally expanding the market.
Yeah, it should be in the policy. It should be allowed in the policy.
Correct. That option should be available.
Okay, there is a new normal for everybody. I think the government needs to fix its new normal now. You cannot be in the old pre-lockdown BC era anymore. You'll have to change your life. You're expecting us to be in the new normal. So doing a takeaway, we are aware that for next couple of years, probably people are going to be very skeptical about stepping out. Putting a deadline, 45 days or end of June is your last, you can do a takeaway with growlers and bottles. That is not being new normal and not allowing us to brew. When you do know there is a requirement out there, there is a consumer which will continue coming on month of July, August, September. So we expect the government also to change for the new normal. We expect the government to understand that there is going to be a dull time in the market. So you need to do a staggered fee payment for us. You cannot be so strict with your old rules. It's not you, or it's not helping us. It's not helping what they call the new startup generation, which wants to do a make in India. That's about it.
Oh, great.
So thank you all.
Thank you all. It was a lovely discussion and a lot of good points have emerged. I am so happy to see that, especially Vipul, Vikas have come out interesting points, and Pratekk had his own rebel in the pack, had his own take, and Ishan has given some insight about this. And good to know Srimoyee doing a wonderful job in Bangalore. We hope that the new normal would be better for all of us. And I hope that Pratekk will not drain away all his beer, because I have a growler ready and waiting. I'll come and fill it up before you drain it.
We are coming to.
So thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.